Hello class, my name is Alexander Peters and I'll be going over my presentation on the effects of screen time before bedtime. So, have you ever stayed up late at night scrolling on your phone, maybe on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, staying awake till 2 a.m., maybe even later or earlier into the morning, and feeling absolutely exhausted, but not tired at all, meaning your body's exhausted, but you're still wide awake? What could be the reason? Well, for many of us, it's the screen time usage. If you're scrolling on TikTok, Instagram, or anything on your phone, that can affect your sleep issues and make you feel awake when you should be tired. And so, what we see is phones are used for everything. We see it used for communication, kind of work, maybe texting, catching up with friends, connecting with coworkers. It can also be used as relaxation, like TikTok, Instagram, Reels, maybe funny videos, maybe even games. There could be a lot of things. And then also it goes into work. Maybe you're a busy person, you're always working, you're getting that next deal, or you're communicating to kind of work out a plan, trying to get everything ready for that next big project. Phones are useful. However, at night they can be damaging. The blue light that we see in phones can greatly affect and negatively affect your sleep. So, what we see is that reducing that screen time before bed gives you better sleep and better health. And what we see is that it's becoming an issue where phone time keeps you wide awake, and people are constantly using. In this study of students between the ages of 12 to 18, we see over 30 minutes, 35% of females, parents, are on their phones before bed. 26% of teens before bed. Now, a large amount within the 30-minute mark before bed. 70% in this study has seen teens be on their phones right before bed, and 61% of parents right before bed. This is a large and alarming amount of people on their phones. Right after waking up, what's the first thing that you do? If you think to yourself, what is the first thing? What do you grab first? For me, myself, it's my phone. It's what wakes me up in the morning. It's what I check in the morning, make sure I didn't miss any messages, make sure I'm ready to go to work and start my day. And in this case, in this study, you see 64% of teens, after waking up, are straight on their phone within 30 minutes of waking up. And 62% of parents are on their phone waking up right as they wake up within that 30-minute mark. Now, this is a very alarming amount because of how much usage people are using their phone. Is this an addiction? Is this not? Well, before bed, it can become a very big issue. And what we see is that it kind of can affect your melatonin production. And so, what are some of the ways that people go to target this melatonin production in order to help themselves to fall asleep? Well, a lot of people look to the short-term solutions. And so you'll see them rely on sleeping medications. For me, myself, I used to have a very big sleeping problem before my son. Before my son, I would have to take melatonin every night, and I would go off of it to try and lower my tolerance, then go on, maybe do NyQuil some of the nights, figure out ways to sleep. Since my son, now I don't ever get enough sleep, so I fall asleep like a baby. But for a lot of people, that is not the case, and so they'll have to use their short-term solutions, such as melatonin and NyQuil or other medications, to kind of solve this in a short-term fashion. Now, this is not a long-term healthy fashion to rely on medications. The solutions are better to just simply cut out phone time. And so, by cutting out phone time, you're thinking to yourself, what are some kind of activities I can do before bed? Because a large majority, as you saw in the last study, people are waking up to phones and also falling asleep by their phones or using their phones, a large percentage. And so some of the activities that we've seen that can kind of help is reading. reading. Like in the picture, having dimmer lights and reading, having a nice story where you're not looking at the screen and the blue light, that can be one activity. Another activity is yoga, having relaxation method of yoga, getting into the mood of relaxing, breathing, meditating. For me personally, I like to create a regimen, and I implement a routine where I create a screen curfew by a certain time. Depending on when I have to wake up the next morning, I keep that steady time to cut screen time out. And so I build a relaxing bedtime routine. For me, it's prayer and kind of relaxing with my wife and son. I get away from the phone, I spend a little time with them, and I relax. Maybe read my son a little story before bed. Maybe just kind of relax and just be with them and talk to them about the next day or the week. And so those kind of things really help me. Now, staying away from screen can be hard, so you have to find those kind of activities, the reading, the walking, the prayer. Having those activities are essential and important to cutting out screen time, because without it, you're going to possibly fall back in the routine of going to screen. So what you should really do is work on those activities. Work on a regimen that you can do. Maybe it's one of the things I mentioned. Maybe it's something completely different. And from there, you'll be able to work on a routine where you're cutting out screen time at least 30 minutes before bed, which can help you to work on your sleep and help you to work on cutting out that screen time, which will help your overall health. And so, essentially, reducing your screen time will equal that better sleep and better health. And that will affect your mood, your energy, and your performance. So, that was my presentation. Thank you guys all for coming out and listening to it. I hope you guys are able to cut screen time out before bed so you can work on helping with your better sleeping patterns and working on better overall health from that. Thank you guys.